Much of the world does not accept the latest propaganda about war crimes. This thing about Bucha, that's probably the most prominent of all the war crimes discussions. And what was Bucha? There was a film taken of a vehicle driving down the road in Bucha, which had been recaptured from the Russians. And every 100 feet or so, there was some person with his hands zip tied behind his back, and he'd been killed. This was discovered, it was not announced until 4 days after the Ukrainians had retaken Bucha. Now, we knew almost nothing about it. We actually didn't even have proof that people had been killed, but assuming they had, we didn't know where they had been killed. We did not know who they were. We did not know who killed them. We did not know why they were killed. No one could provide an adequate motive for the Russians to have killed them. The Russians held Bucha for a month. If they were going to kill them, why didn't they kill them during that month? And if you were going to slaughter a bunch of people, wouldn't they all be in one place, and wouldn't you gun them all down there? Why would they be distributed along a roadside, a mile along the way? It makes no sense. What we do know is that 4 days after, the mayor of Bucha joyously announced that the city was liberated. 4 days after, the Ukrainian army had moved in, and their special, their propaganda arm of the Ukrainian military were there. All of a sudden, there were these dead people on the road. How come they weren't there when the Russians were there? How come they only appeared after the Russians were gone? My guess would be, and you start with a hunch when you're investigating a crime. My hunch is that the Ukrainians killed off these people after they moved in and after they looked around and said, okay, who was friendly towards the Russian troops while the Russians were here? We're gonna execute them. That would be my guess, because I don't see any motive for the Russians to have just sort of killed a few people on their way out of town. So you have and nobody questions these because the corporate media is so monolithic.